Investigative report. High staff turnover plagues major Colorado nonprofit serving the homeless. Denver, Colorado. For years, an investigation into the operations of the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless has uncovered a persistent pattern. Despite receiving substantial public funding and managing critical supportive housing programs across the state, the organization continues to struggle with significant employee retention challenges. The Coalition, one of Colorado's largest providers of housing, healthcare, and services for individuals experiencing homelessness, operates numerous properties, including permanent supportive housing sites like Renaissance Veterans Apartments at Fitzsimmons in Aurora. These facilities are intended to deliver stable, wraparound support, particularly for veterans and others at risk. Yet multiple sources, including anonymous employee reviews on platforms such as Glassdoor and Indeed, as well as public reports from news outlets, paint a concerning picture of the internal environment. Reviewers frequently cite low pay, incompetent or unresponsive management, heavy workloads, insufficient training, and high burnout rates as key drivers of turnover. Indeed.com. Frontline staff have described a disconnect between leadership and those working directly with clients. In recent years, workers have taken public action, organizing efforts with the Service Employees International Union, SEIU Local 105 highlighted low wages and the damaging effects of constant staff changes on the very people the organization serves. Case managers and support staff have noted that repeated turnover disrupts trust building with vulnerable clients, many of whom have already faced significant trauma. One organizer stated that when workers are overworked and undersupported, instability inevitably follows, ultimately affecting housing outcomes and service quality. Denverite.com. Public records show the Coalition has faced scrutiny before. A past HUD Office of Inspector General audit identified issues with improper allocation of employee payroll time across grants and the charging of ineligible costs. Though the organization has continued to receive millions in federal and local funding for its programs. HUDOIG.gov. Employee feedback consistently points to broader systemic pressures common in the nonprofit sector. Tight budgets, high-needs client populations, and the emotional toll of the work. However, critics argue that when an organization dependent on taxpayer dollars cannot retain experienced staff, it raises questions about how effectively those funds translate into stable, high-quality services on the ground. The Coalition has acknowledged turnover as a challenge in public statements, noting efforts to address safety, staffing, and morale. Leadership has emphasized the importance of retaining talent to maintain continuity for clients. Yet reviews and organizing campaigns suggest these issues remain ongoing, with some employees reporting that strong, dedicated workers are pushed out or leave due to unsustainable conditions. This pattern is not unique to one property or one role. It appears across case management, housing support, and other frontline positions. For residents in supportive housing, many of whom rely on consistent relationships with property staff and caseworkers, the frequent loss of familiar faces can mean delays in maintenance, slower responses to needs, and a less stable living environment. As Colorado continues to grapple with its homelessness crisis, questions remain about accountability in publicly funded nonprofits. Advocates and oversight bodies stress that effective service delivery requires not only resources for clients, but also fair treatment and sustainable conditions for the employees doing the work. This investigation highlights a fundamental tension. Organizations tasked with helping some of society's most vulnerable populations must first be able to hold on to their own workforce. Without meaningful improvements in compensation, management practices, and staff support, high turnover risks undermining the very mission these groups are funded to fulfill. Denver 7 and other local outlets have previously aired similar concerns from former staff and clients. Further scrutiny from HUD, local elected officials, and the public may be needed to ensure that taxpayer-supported programs can deliver consistent, effective results. For now, the cycle continues. Dedicated employees come and go, while the underlying pressures persist.